Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for your patience, staying until the last presentation. My name is Nan Zhao from TIIS, Baptist University of Hong Kong. Today, my topic is teaching conference interpreting online, the methods, modes, and the settings and technologies. Due to time limit, I've shortened my presentation to the following aspects. So I will give you a brief introduction of what is conference interpreting, and then I will give you 3 case studies explaining how I actually teach simultaneous interpreting online this year. Right? Okay. As you know, due to the pandemic, a lot of conferences have been cancelled and or moved online, and this created a new situation for all the interpreters working in the market, as well as the students and teachers who are in interpreting education. So simultaneous interpreting is often known as interpreting. It involves the process of interpreter listen to the source speech and deliver the target language simultaneously. At the background, you can see a picture of United Nations General Assembly. Over here on the side, you can see these are the interpreter booths, and the interpreters are working there. And all of these delegates, you can see they're wearing headsets. They're listening to the target language via a receiver with the speaker on the stage speaking. So this is from the booth. As you can see, simultaneous interpreting is a multitasking process, and it involves the listening of the source language and the speaking of the target language, whereas you also need to do a lot of coordination in the process. For example, checking on the slides and checking on the speaker, picking up any non-verbal information you could get, and perhaps take a look at the script and the technologies you prepared in advance. So a lot of things to do at the same time. This course was given to me about 2 weeks in advance before the start of the term. So with the tiny heart attack, I started to research on all these different kinds of platform that we can do online simultaneous interpreting teaching. When we move simultaneous interpreting online, we pretty much rely on a remote simultaneous interpreting online platform. So I researched into a lot of different technologies, home and abroad, and I found many of them are actually to serve the purpose for conference interpreting for the conference itself, but not actually for pedagogical purpose. So which one is for teaching then? Um, Today, I'm just going to keep it simple, and I decided actually to use the simple way to teach the students by using Zoom. So that's what I'm going to talk about today, and Go React. Right. So let's take a look. So how to actually deliver simultaneous interpreting teaching online. Um, Students should be able to see the teacher and the teacher's screen and slides, demonstration, etc. And they will need to listen to the source speech from the teacher's PC and interpret via their own microphone on their own device, and to do live communication with teachers and peers. And the teachers should be able to see the students via camera and play the audio or video file and or do a live speech herself. And thirdly, to listen to the students' interpreting performance and to live communication with students, either publicly or privately. Most importantly, we will need to record the class and the students interpreting. Right, with that in mind, the first solution I provided to achieve the simultaneous interpreting online class is to use Zoom parallel rooms. As we know, if it is a normal teaching, We just use Zoom, share our screen like what we're doing right now. I'm talking and you're listening. However, for simultaneous interpreting, we do need to listen and speak at the same time. And for the teacher, I will need to share my screen, play the audio or video, and listen to students' performance. So with that in mind, I created two Zoom meetings at the same time. We couldn't actually attend the using one account to attend two meetings at the same time. However, after dropping a ticket to Zoom and talking to the ITO of my own university, they make this available for me online. I think it should be for the whole university now. So basically, two Zoom meetings running at the same time. One is from the computer end. So this one is for me to present, for me to play the source speech on my own computer for students to listen. And then from my mobile end, which I use my mobile phone, I listen to the students' performance. This way, there won't be any interruptions, and with the use of the whole term, I found this way quite stable. As you can see, this is the computer end of my personal PC. So students are listening to Boris's speech, and um, from the mobile end, you can log on to Zoom via your phone and choose the mobile end. When you're in, you see a screen like this. And then, in order to listen to the student, you will need to click participants and then unmute the microphones of the students you want to listen to. Um, as I said, this way you have the incoming and outgoing in two different channels. So this won't create too much load on a single PC. However, you do need to do one thing, as Zoom actually changed the settings this August. You're no longer able to just very easily unmute people. You will need to go to Zoom setting and change this parameter. So you will need to turn on a request permission to unmute. And when students enter this room, for example, when they enter my mobile end, they will see this message in either English or Chinese, depending on which version they're using. And they will need to click allow me to unmute their microphone during the session. Right. So here is a how to do it and the technical requirements I sent to my students before the class actually starts. So you can see the blue part is the teacher, what the teacher need to do, and the white part is what the students will need to do. So we all need one PC with camera and one mobile phone and two sets of headsets with microphone on. And we will need to update our Zoom to at least 5.2.1. It is extremely important that we update our Zoom or any of the online meeting software if we use it very often. Because if you don't update it, a lot of the functions will actually won't be available to you. So for the teacher, as you can see, here is the computer end, here is the mobile end. Um, the most important thing is that you need to switch on the request permission to unmute, and the student will need to click agree on that. And you need to make sure all the microphones are switched off. Otherwise, when you start, and if the student's microphone is still on, it will interfere the source speech, um, resulting in an unable to listen for all the students. And it's quite a messy class in that case. Every time during before the class, I would do a testing session with my students. I will play a speech or play an audio, and then I will turn on and off students' microphone and see whether I can hear them. And the students will need to make sure they can. If their Zoom is not updated to 5.2.1, they might not be able to um, use the unmute function at all, right? So I um, in the parallel room, because you have two meeting, you can actually record both the source language, which is the speech, and the target language, which is the student's performance. And the second solution I provided to achieve simultaneous interpreting online class is to use Zoom interpretation mode. Yes, Zoom does have an interpretation mode. If the organizers has enabled that function today, we would be able to actually use that today. So basically what we need to do is to assign language channels to students in advance. As you can see, Zoom provided all these different languages. You can either put two students in one language channel or create one language for each student. And you can do this by pre-assign before the class, or just do it in the class where all of the students are online. So this is a list I sent to my students because I have assigned their language channels prior to the class, so they know which language channels they're in. And then when we're on a class, they will see this icon which shows interpretation, the little globe icon. And then simply by using the mobile device to switch the channels, to choose your channel, you can listen to different interpreters, and it's very easy to use. Okay, and this is the detailed requirement I sent to my students in advance using their native language. Um, so the downside of using Zoom interpretation mode is that we can only record the source language. That means the class itself, whatever I played for them over my computer. And the students will need to record the target language by themselves using their own recorder, either built in or on a separate device. And the third solution I provided to achieve simultaneous interpreting online class is to use a website. This website is called Watch Together. It's actually a website for friends to watch a movie or a video together online. It's quite a fun way to learn. Um, and you can just simply search the video you want to find over here, and then you can watch it together. You can play the speech here, and then this might not be able to see. Here, you can see all the students and the teachers. The teacher will only need to lower or we need to adjust the student's microphone in order to listen to them. And over here, you can invite students to join you. And over here, you can see a chat box. So if there's any question, we can do it. However, I didn't actually manage to use it for this term because half of my students are still in China, and this website unfortunately are not available from Chinese mainland. Right. So my second case study is how to do online mock conference. Perhaps we're a different field, but as you can imagine, if you're a student studying conference interpreting, you want to make the event real, and you want to get to know what the real conferences are like, not just learning in class. You want to engage in a real conference, online conference. So I created two mock conference events for my students this term. One is a live debate in simultaneous interpreting using Zoom interpretation mode. As you can see, I have divided my students into three groups under three debate topics. Um, I remember it was fat tax, animal rights, and whether homework is necessary. Right, that's a very interesting one to listen to. And as you can see, three students will be in one group, force and against. And for force is F123, against is A123. And I have used Zoom interpretation mode to assign language channels for them, so I know which channels they're in order to listen to them. And the rules are: when A debates, B interprets, and on a certain channel, of course, and then C monitor B's performance. In this case, the teacher can, of course, provide the feedback. I also encourage students to do live feedback. That's what the monitoring group is for. So they observe each other's performance and write their feedback forms. So that's how we conduct it. As you can see, it was quite a live debate. Sometimes students get too much involved and they start talking at the same time, which is quite fun if you imagine. And immediately, all the communication start to become real, and the interpreters works in a real situation where people can speak slow, sometimes very fast when they're eager to trying to make their point. And we also vote for the winner of the debate, and the event is quite a success. And the second mock conference I organize for the students is a um, live conference. We mocked Asian Development Forum 2020, where most of my students attended, and we used Zoom parallel rooms. Um, and some of the students worked also as speakers, so they are able to share their screen and do the speech while their friends and classmates interpret for them. And they can, through the process, understand how sometimes when they speak fast or they pause in a different way, can influence their classmates' performance in simultaneous interpreting. And I created an agenda for them. This is very much like a real agenda. I actually deleted this line. This is the interpreter's line in the real agenda. And they actually don't know which one of these speakers are because we're not using real names. We have created different positions for ourselves. We don't get to do this a lot, do we? So, and they prepared different speeches which help to enlarge their um, background knowledge. We often say to be an interpreter, you need to know something of everything and everything of something. And that's really quite true. So I do encourage my students to learn the background knowledge. And by preparing a speech, they did. And in the QA session, they're challenged actually in this field, which they prepared for themselves. And then each student will get a feedback form with all of the interpreters' name already filled in for them. So
Excuse me.
yeah, we're
Sorry
just
to
wrapping up. Yeah,
Yes, sorry to interrupt. There's only 1 minute left and
sure.
no question and answer session. Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank
So
you.
that's the feedback form we've created. So the last part is the online assessment. I use Go React to do online feedback for my students if I give them any exercise to do, because this will make quite a real situation for them. On one side, they can see the speaker and they can see themselves. And I found the feedback in Go React really helpful because you can do audio, video, or just typing the words that you want to write. And I was even able to create different booths for them. However, in the assessment, I didn't use Go React, even if I can, due to the bandwidth of from some students, because it's too slow. They can sometimes they can't upload their video. So in the end, I just use Moodle and upload the source text for them, and I put a password for them so they can download in advance and then just listen to on site. Okay, that's pretty much my presentation. Thank you very much.
Yes. Thank you very much for your interesting presentation.